Welcome to the Common Humanity podcast, where we are here to have real human conversations. Today, I am joined with Danica. Um, I very shortly met her at a booth at a little music thing, and she was selling this all this cool little art made with bones. And then I got her card, and it's tiny bones and things, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. And then I stalked her down on Instagram and convinced her to have a conversation with me. So she is here now. And that is how we got here. Um, so the one question I start with is, Danica, who are you?
Oh my God, that's such a broad question. You're killing me. Wow, I guess breaking it down, I'm just a person making their way through life the best that they can and trying to better themselves as we go along. I'm almost 48 years. Oh no, that's a lie. I'm 48 years old now, and I feel like the last 5 years is really when I've started living my life without giving as much uh, leniency to people to tell me how to live my life.
I love that. Um, what changed? Was there like a catalyst?
I would say there was a catalyst. I underwent gastric bypass surgery almost 6 years ago this December. And prior to that, I think, growing up in the 70s and 80s, a lot is different than it is now.
Mhm.
As far as, there's still a lot that society says you're supposed to look like and be like, and especially for women, and and how we look. And I was obese most of my life. I mean, I was still very active, but I was obese most of my life, and I did not feel comfortable in my own skin. And it kind of made me want to, because of my size, I was anywhere between 200 to 340 pounds at any given time. And it made me want to diminish myself and make myself smaller and become a wallflower. I basically just hid who I was, just to not be noticed as much, because I was so self-conscious about being judged on anything. I was bullied in high school. There were people that called me names, just generally mean people. And
Yeah.
so I really just kept through that in my, through my adulthood, through high school, through college, through my adulthood, until I turned, 41. And I was like, shit, I can't keep living like this. Like, half my life is gone. And that, so one day I just knew, I always knew I needed to do something, but surgery was never on my list of things to do, because everybody thought it was the easy way out.
Mhm.
And um and so I tried everything. I had lost weight. I deal with things like depression, anxiety, binge eating disorder. I've been diagnosed with. That's hard to deal with. And so when all of these things kind of come to a fruition, into the perfect storm, uh, one day I realized I was kneeling on the floor, sobbing my brains out about how much I hated myself. Um, and it was all because of this one thing that I felt like controlled my whole life. And that was the catalyst for it. And then it just, as I go through the process of, losing weight and learning these things in life, that, again, that hopefully we can learn now, that our body should not identify who we are as people, and that we should be loved and accepted for who we are, not how we look. That's been a process through the whole thing.
Yeah. That journey alone sounds, first of all, exhausting, but also like,
Yes.
um, I'm a firm believer that some of the most meaningful things in life are some of the hardest things you can do. So like if it's not hard, it's probably not worth it.
Yep.
Um I wish so like my story in that sense, like I'm a bigger human being as well, always have been. I'm more muscular, and I've gone through eating disorder recovery and all sorts of stuff too. And as a woman, it is really hard to just be whoever the fuck you are and not care what other people say. Um, but one of the things I've learned, and like even like I'm a personal trainer, so like I have conversations about people's bodies a lot.
Yes.
And I wish more people could see that there's so many options on how to get to where you want to get to. And all of those things are tools. So, like you said, that people saw surgery as the easy way out. But I mean, if you talk to doctors who actually specialize in obesity, like sometimes that is the only thing that is going to get that to happen. And it's a tool that you use to find your health, to find your path. And it's not, um, I mean, there's all sorts of things that society tells us that of how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to get there. And I feel like the more we as humans can shed those things and get to that attitude of like, no, I'm going to be me, I'm going to live my life, and anyone who disagrees with it can quite honestly fuck right off. um,
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's true. And I think, as you shed those things, you come to realize a lot of things when you're going through a journey like that. As you said, it's a tool. It is. There are people that are successful at this because you really have to work for it. It was the most one of the most difficult things, was the most difficult decision I made. It was, it's financially taxing, especially if you don't have an insurance that's going to cover it. It's physically taxing. Your body goes through this process in the first year where you don't eat hardly anything because you can't. You have to relearn how to eat. You have to implement exercise. You have to implement all these things. So it's not the easy way out. And then it doesn't fix this.
right.
Your brain hasn't had surgery. And so after a year, you go through this process where you're not hungry anymore. You don't think about a lot of food stuff anymore. After this honeymoon phase, you're basically fucked if you haven't had therapy or don't go through therapy
Mhm.
in order to fix how you think and your relationship with food or your relationship with, drinking. Because this surgery, a lot of people have a food addiction, and there's transfer addictions involved in this stuff too. So if you haven't pinpointed what your problem is, you can easily become an alcoholic, because again, the way you process food in your body is different. Half of my intestines are no longer working, so my every medication digests differently. It doesn't absorb the same. Everything is so different. It is not the easy way out. And then you've got, at the end of it, if you've lost all the weight that you want to lose, you have loose skin. When you go from 340 pounds to 145 pounds, there's a huge change in your body. And, especially like with me being, in my middle age, then you're just like, well, shit, I was like, maybe I should put some weight on just to like get some of these wrinkles going. And it doesn't, when you go through that process, and you don't think differently about yourself, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because
Mhm.
it's going to continuously, and as a woman and in society, we continuously, I never thought that I was going to be almost 50 years old and thinking about how I looked. Growing up when I was in my 20s, I was like, oh, when I hit 40, all this shit's figured out. I'm not going to worry about any of this anymore. Oh, hell no. That is not the case. It's, sometimes it gets worse, when you do that. And you just have to take a step back and think about what is important. What are the lessons that I need to learn from this that have to do with me as a person, and who I am, and who I want people to see, and who's gonna, embrace this weirdo that I am, that I've never let anybody see, that wants to make bone jewelry and that wants to go hiking and pick up bones and, do all these weird things, or climb mountains and stuff like that. Who's gonna embrace that? And then those people are your people that understand, and the people that have a problem with you and the way that you look, or the amount of weight that you've lost, or the amount of weight that they think you need to lose. That's not your issue. That is their problem. Their problem is not my problem. And it's hard to do that. It's very hard to do that.
100%. Quick tangent on that last statement.
Yeah.
Not just about like people's perceptions of you, but one of the favorite things that I've learned somewhere along the line is that I always say if people can't put on their big boy pants and say something to me, like if someone has a problem with me for anything, if they're mad at me, if I've offended them in some way, whatever it is, if they don't bring it to my attention, it is not my problem. It is
Exactly.
100% their problem. If they want to stew about it, if they want to be mad and let that like carry that energy through their day, that's totally fine. It is not my problem if I made someone upset and they're not able to speak to me about it, because I'll talk to anybody. Like if I know I piss people off. Like that's totally fine. But if you're not willing to confront me, because confrontation does not have to be like
No,
actually butting heads. Like it
it
is
doesn't.
just having that communication between people. And if you're not willing to do that, then you get to carry all the energy, and I'm not going to help release any of it because it's not my problem until you make it my problem.
Absolutely.
Um, so one of the things I wanted to ask is in this, because you mentioned like the loose skin and wrinkles and things like that. So what was that journey through your body image like? Like how has that changed? Where did it start? Where is it now? What were all of the
Oh
like
my God.
roller coaster pieces in between?
Wow. So, it is a roller coaster because, you go through so many changes. And when you're in this mindset, when I was 340 pounds and I hated the way I looked and I hated wearing clothes and I was pulling at my clothes and everything felt too tight. Like it was very uncomfortable in my skin. And long shirts. I mean, my arms were, I never had anything that was any shorter than elbow length because I hated my arms. I'd never showed, and like my dream was to be able to wear like sleeveless or sundresses and just dance in the sun and be like this happy fucking crazy person and be like, this is my life. But I couldn't, because my own inhibitions about my self were in the way. So when that carried on throughout losing weight, like as I lost weight, I would buy clothes that were more fitting, but you have all that loose skin. I think with and everybody loses weight and carries weight differently. I've been lucky enough that when I had the loose skin and lost it, I hid it really well in clothes. I mean, I had my arms were, I mean, down to here, but when I had them down, it literally looked like 90-year-old skin. You could just take it and like
Mhm.
flap it around. And so I wore, again, I didn't wear, sleeveless because I was very insecure about that. But I knew even before this whole journey started that if I ever lost a lot of weight, my arms would be the one thing I would get like skin removal surgery on. And I made this pact with my husband about that. I was like, it doesn't matter how much it costs ever, but if this happens, this is my goal. Like this is like my bucket list thing, that if I ever lose a large amount of weight, and at that time it was a pipe dream. But it's, you go through this thing where you're just like, I don't want to wear shorts because people will see my loose skin, but also you have these smaller legs and you want to, it's kind of a mind fuck because it goes from, being heavy to being smaller with this extra skin, and you've worked so hard, and you can only do so much in the gym to build muscle, right? Like
Right.
that skin is not going to elasticize back. Some of it will, And but also when you're, when you're a little older like I am, I say older like it's old. I mean, I that. But you still have more wrinkles than somebody who is in their 20s and has the surgery. That's gonna their skin's gonna elasticize a little more. But is very still very insecure. And even now, I've had the arm surgery. I had an extended, I mean, my scars literally go from here all the way to here on my chest. And then I had a full abdominal uh, tuck. So everything, they took 15 inches of skin out from my abdomen and all around, and did some lipo for my back and put it in my ass because I had no ass at all. So I definitely wear different clothes now, and I'm more confident in my body, but I'm still not always there. Like it took me in the gym when I had this flat stomach, and right after surgery everything was like so perfect. I still wouldn't wear like a sports bra. It really took a long time for me to, because I had never shown my body before. 40 something years, and you've never, worn a tank top, and how it feels to do that is it sounds dumb, but it's scary. I mean, it just was just as scary to me to do that as it might be for somebody to jump out of an airplane.
Right.
um to show myself and to be seen. And I think it was being seen was the scary thing. And I think in my brain I knew that people weren't going to come up to me and say anything, but I had had turned into the person that I physically had always wanted to be, but I still couldn't show that. And as time rolls on, it gets better. I definitely do, the sleeveless thing I can do. I don't do shorts because I have loose skin on my legs or whatever. But now I'm much more free in my brain because I don't constantly think about how I look at my clothes, or is somebody judging me? And that is a lot of therapy, to be honest with you. And it is also a lot of just trusting the fact that, I am me, and people are either going to like me or not like me, regardless of what I look like, and what I'm showing or how I dress. And it's still I really feel like it could be a lifelong process, a lifelong learning thing when you've spent literally from, second grade thinking that you look terrible. That's a long time to think that way. And so it's not going to be an overnight. And it might be for some people, everybody's journey is different, but mine, there are people that are like, just wear the damn shorts. Well, I would love to say, okay, I'll just wear the damn shorts. But for the hour I'm wearing those damn shorts, I'm obsessing about it because I'm
Right.
like, so I don't wear the damn shorts, but one day I will. It's just a process to get there. So it is just a big mind game.
I agree completely. Um, I same way, like I in college, I was very like it was when leggings as pants like became a thing, and I was so against it.
Yes.
And granted, like I dealt with anorexia and bulimia and being addicted to diet pills and all sorts of things in my youth. I say in my youth, I've only been in recovery for 2 years, but whatever.
That's amazing though.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Woo. Um, but I look back now and I think like I judged other people so much for the confidence that they had, because I would wear long gym, like long basketball shorts, because that was the only way, and baggy t-shirts, and that is how I lived.
Hmm.
And there were like I was so against the concept of leggings as pants for anybody. And like I see old Facebook posts that I posted about like ranting about it, and I'm like, I'm a
Oh my
trainer,
God.
and not only do I wear leggings as pants every day, but I wear I wear the damn shorts. I wear like
Yes.
hold on, this is on video, so I can do this. Let's see if you can see. Like I wear
Yes.
shorts. Like, and I remember I first like I posted a video of me lifting, and some lady came into my comments telling me that I'm not empowering women by wearing such short shorts, and I should cover up more, and I should do this. And I'm just like, they are comfortable. Like I've tried doing squats in my running shorts that don't have any give,
Right.
and they're not the same. And I'm a very warm-bodied person. I am not going to wear pants when it's 85 degrees outside.
Yes.
No. And you're not going to convince me to. And I think it's so funny because it took me, because I think I've been wearing these shorts like as my everyday outfit for like maybe a year and a half now. And when I first did it, I was like, oh, okay, like someone's gonna say something, it's gonna be a thing. Like I'll go out in public, but I'll be like when I go to the store in them, like I'm a little self-conscious, and sometimes I am still, because I'll be completely honest, my ass eats everything. So like I take 5 steps and my butt cheeks pop out. And then I'm like, oh, gotta pick a wedgie, it's totally fine. But I don't care, because also I think it's so funny, and not funny, haha, funny like ironic, that people will look at skinny girls wearing short shorts and it's okay. Like I had a boss who dictated who was allowed to wear shorts because they could pull it off and other people couldn't, and it was like, no, no, no,
Oh, are you
no,
kidding?
absolutely not. Like there is
Wow.
either a dress code that we all have to meet, like,
Or
or
not.
not. Like that is it. um
Yeah.
And I just think it's so funny because I've had people who were like, are skinny, who are like wearing shorts that are longer than mine or the same length as mine or whatever, and comment on things, and I'm like, okay, so you can wear them but I can't wear them. They're like, well, it's different. I'm like, it's not.
No, it's not different.
It's not different. Like the only difference is that I could crush a man's skull with my thighs and you can't. Like that's the I say that. I've tried to crush a watermelon. I was not
Oh,
successful. I will try again. Need to work on my
you
adductors, honestly. But
you just got to be ready for the mess that that's going to create.
yes, exactly. Um, but yeah, I just think it's so interesting how like how people's perceptions of what we are supposed to be, and like
Yeah.
how many people haven't whether they haven't been through, I'm not going to say enough shit, or like the level of shit that they're able to shed that and go, oh, like
Yes.
the only reason that I think that's how it's supposed to be is because I was taught that that's how it's supposed to be. And that came from an entire, like, most of the things that we know are perceptions from somebody from somewhere. And like, it doesn't, none of it is inherent. The only thing that I'm going to say is
It's taught to
inherent,
us.
right?
Yeah.
It's all taught.
Yeah.
I've like I've come to the conclusion that everybody has inherent worth. Like you do not have to be a certain size, you do not have to be a certain color, you do not have to agree with me to have worth. I might argue with you, but you have worth. You have
Yes.
worth because you exist, and that is final.
Yes.
Everything else, like all your perceptions of yourself and of the world around you, is all pretty much made up by somebody
Absolutely.
somewhere.
Absolutely. I mean, it's taught like I remember, when I was younger, my mom didn't mean it this way or anything, but she would see people and she's like, just because you can wear it doesn't mean you should.
Mhm.
But also, as I have a unique perspective, and I don't, I can only speak for myself and a lot of the lessons that I've learned, and I try to think of things in a little bit of a different way. But I also look back and think, wow, I skinny shamed people for
Mhm.
sure. Like if somebody would say, oh, well, I need to lose 10 pounds. And I would be like, are you fucking kidding me? You only need to lose 10 pounds. I need to lose 110 pounds. And that's not fair looking back, because now I understand what that I need to lose 10 pounds means for somebody who is 140, 160, 170 pounds
Yeah.
wants to lose 10 pounds. It's not, it's a comfort thing. It's a comfort thing in the clothing. Are you comfortable wearing shorter shorts? Wear what you're fucking comfortable wearing. It's not hurting anybody else. As long as it's not degrading to somebody, you don't have all this verbiage on here that calls
Yeah.
people names and other things. Why can't people wear things that, I mean, it's not like you're wearing a string bikini at the gym and it's like averting everybody and they're dumping, dropping
Yeah.
dumbbells on themselves because they're, because they're idiots. But also wear something that's comfortable. And not dictate that on and put your perceptions on everybody else. And it's hard to know, it's hard to learn that. And I'm not sure I ever would have learned that lesson had I not gone through this process. Like it wouldn't have been in the cards, I don't think. It just like it wouldn't have been in the cards, I think, if I hadn't have gone through this to find my own worth. I hated myself, and I didn't understand what loving myself was. I didn't understand that I could love myself and still want to change something about myself
That
at all. Like that wasn't a thing. Like I just was like, oh, I'm a decent human being, but I hate this about myself. I hate this about myself. I couldn't distinct that. I do not like this about myself. It was just I hated myself for that. And those are two totally different things, right? Like we can dislike something about ourselves or want to change ourselves and still love who we are as people. And that loving who we are is about being able to make those changes because we love ourselves enough to make those good changes in our life, enough to get rid of the bad people that are in our life, the toxic people that
mhm.
say things, the toxic people in the world that we don't want to deal with, the toxic social medias. Loving ourselves enough is doing those things.
I loved that part that you said because it reminded me of the body acceptance movement.
Oh yeah, the one I
It-
didn't have when I was a kid.
right. Yeah. Because I mean, especially in the fitness industry, there's a lot of people who are like, you should not accept yourself. But what people don't realize is that you can accept who you are and where you're at and still work at bettering yourself. And one thing I always love to point out, because there are so many people who are like, if you are obese, you are unhealthy. And that's not inherently true.
Correct. You're
Like
correct.
about about 30%, I think is the statistic, about 30% of people who are obese are metabolically healthy, and about 30% of people who are thin are metabolically unhealthy,
Yep.
because your health is determined on your actual habits. And what people don't understand, like I don't know how humans have been around for this long and people don't understand that we come in different shapes and sizes.
Yeah. We are
Like
not cookie cutter.
one of my things, like I'm 5'6" and I'm above average height for women, and I'm like, how is that even possible? And then I see my sister-in-law's family, who they're Mexican, and like some of them are like 4'10" as grown ass adults, and I'm just like, this
Yeah.
this is how my average height is above average. Like it doesn't like it, because I've never considered myself tall.
I
And then
haven't either. And I'm 5'6" as well.
yeah,
Yes.
and so then I'm around people who come from a different part of the world than my ancestry comes from, and there's a reason. Like we're all the color we are, the size we are. Like I always told my mom, because she's smaller than me, substantially smaller than me.
So is my mom.
And she would, like, it was so hard to hear her like talk badly to herself about, like, I need to lose weight, I need to do this, I need to do that. And I would always tell her, Mom, we are built, like, we come from a lineage where we are built as women that if the oxen get too tired, we can still plow the field. Like that's where we come from. Like our bodies are built to work and to move heavy things, and that is there because in our ancestry, we had to do that. So our bodies adapted to do that. Like
Yep.
I put on muscle easier than most women, which I'm happy for because I lift heavy things every day and it's one of my favorite pastimes. It's probably one of
Exactly.
my favorite pastimes because I'm good at it. But um which quick side note, tangent, you said you've skinny shamed before. I feel like where I fall, and I don't say it out loud a lot, but like it's in my head and I have to like
Now's your
counter
time.
is I feel like I don't even know if it's skinny shaming or if it would fall under like I I always want to have conversations with women especially because I work with women who are like I need to lose weight and they're like 120 pounds and my question is always why, like
Why?
why do you need to lose weight? And I like try to get more people to see like if we can focus more on what your body can do rather than what your body
I
looks
want to
like.
be strong. I want to have muscle. I want to be
Yeah.
healthy.
Like there are women I work with who they're like, well, I want to have toned arms. I'm like, so you probably shouldn't be dieting because to
Right?
get toned arms, you need to build muscle. And to build muscle, you have to eat food. And there's all these things.
And
And it's like,
muscle weighs more than fat. I mean, that's the thing is that you're
yeah,
not going to, people, I think people forget that it's like 80-20. 20% of it is you're working out and, you've got cardio that helps you lose weight. But working out, so the diet is come where diet is comes where you lose weight, right? So it's
yeah,
calories in, calories out, basic. But when you work out and you exercise, it's your body composition that changes. So you might be the same weight or way more, but your body looks different. Like my body looks different at the weight I'm at now versus the weight I was at when I first lost weight because I have more muscle. I, have other things. And people forget that it's not just about losing weight, but your body loses weight differently throughout your whole life, right?
right.
And it's not, you can't pinpoint exactly where you want to lose weight from or where you want to gain weight to. Cause, I'd love to put weight in certain areas and not just like in my thighs, but it's composition. And people forget that when they're just like, I want to lose weight. Well, what does that mean? Is it your number on a scale? Or do you want your body to look differently because you want to be toned, because you want to have those, those shoulders that I can see on you that have the definition, right? Or do you want to have, less and be a little people forget that when because I think it's just been trained in us. It's just lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, and the numbers. I mean, this is why
Right.
I don't do the numbers game anymore because I have this binge eating disorder and because I have that obsession uh, 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 with numbers, and I've always had that, the scale, the calories, that puts me into an anxiety spin. So I don't fucking do numbers anymore at all with clothes or anything. I have clothes that are extra small. I have clothes that are 2X that all fit me as my body is now. And I am okay with that. I don't buy for the number, buy for the fit and how it makes you feel.
I agree with that.
Feeling,
But also just a quick side rant. I wish that women's clothing would have uniform sizing. I have been to a store, like I needed
right?
jeans for work, and I went to a store and I tried on 8 pairs of the
Oh,
same brand of jeans and
mm-hmm.
all the same size and they all fit differently. And
Yep.
like not even like tremendously different styles of jeans. Like they were slightly different colors. And I'm like, how were all of these the same size, all the same brand, all the same store? Like it's one thing when they're different stores and you're like,
Right.
okay, there's a 3 inch difference between a size 12 here and a size 12 here. But when it's the same like come on.
I know. It's so annoying because I did a post on my Instagram. I remember this is probably last year, and I had 4 pairs of jeans, and they all sit at the same exact, and there was a 4, 6, 8, and a 10. And they were all the same length. And it's just, or the same width. And it's just like, why can't we just have sizing like men do? Just
Right.
base it on inches. And then that we can do, because we can put something around our waist and figure out what our fucking inches are, or our bras, or our, that, and the inseams. Just sell it based on actual numbers instead of, oh, we have a skinny this, and we have a curvy this, and we have a this, because you might have a pair of Gloria Vanderbilt jeans that are Amanda size, and then you might have Juliet size, and then you have Amanda skinny, Amanda oh fuck, we can't do all of that. It's so stressful.
I agree. And it's also, I hate shopping online because I'm like, I have no idea,
You
no
cannot.
idea if things are going to fit me.
You cannot.
And it's, it's I'll just raw.
Yeah.
Also, since we're on the same side note, women's clothes need pockets, real pockets that you can put shit in.
Not fake sewn pockets, not, yeah, because I have a pair of jeans and I'm like, I just realized these don't have pockets. They have pockets. They look like pockets. They're
Yep.
real jeans, but they're sewn in. I when I go to a concert, I don't take a purse in. I put my essentials in my back pocket. I put my key on my loop of my jeans. I put my phone in my other back pocket. I don't want to carry shit, but that you have to.
Yeah. It's all crazy. I don't remember how we got off on that tangent, but it was
Size,
good.
numbers. I don't obsess over
Numbers.
numbers. The numbers,
Yeah.
yeah, it was the numbers. The numbers game. Don't do it anymore. But it's,
Yeah. Um, so steering this a little bit in a different direction because I'm interested in it. How did you start making the art that you make? Like what was that process? Were you just like one day you found a bird skull and you're like, this would be pretty on a necklace?
So it comes again, it kind of stems from, being comfortable with yourself and your weirdness. And I love to embrace my whatever's kind of weird. Everybody's got their different version of what's weird, right? Like, I might be a weirdo to one person, but to another person, I'm just like, whatever, they're like, oh, that's my normal, whatever. So, being in the mindset that I was for the majority of my life, I just kind of was a wallflower, and I didn't really go and talk about a lot of things that I enjoyed. So I've really always kind of enjoyed, and I'm married now, but I was married previously, and that was a very bad relationship, because it was all based on how I was hiding myself and just taking what I could get, what I could settle for, because I didn't think I deserved anything better, right? So everything
Yeah.
kind of stems from that one ball, is I don't deserve this because I'm different, or I'm insecure about who I am, so I don't want to show people. So now I'm like, the hair, now I show people everything, right? So that has just been a learned process. So I am married to a guy. We've been married for 15 something years, and he fully embraces me for who I am. He loves me the same as when I was 340 pounds as to how I am now, and everything in between. He supported me with the surgeries. I could go down there in some sexy lingerie, and this literally happened. I go down in some sexy lingerie where I feel comfortable, with the stockings and everything. And it's never in my life had I done this. And I go downstairs and I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, you look good. And I was like, I I look okay. I look good. Like, he's like, I mean, I'm just as attracted to you now as I was when you were not wearing those things, or 340 pounds. So and that's one of those things where you realize that your personal growth is worth that, and understanding that people love you no matter what. And so, because he is the person he is and allows me to be my weirdo self and embraces that, I've always enjoyed kind of the oddities kind of thing, and a little bit of the macabre. Not so much like slasher horror movies, but the weird, like, psychological stuff or supernatural stuff, bones, skulls, that kind of thing. So I've learned to embrace that and come out to say, oh, I like these things. And my husband would be like, oh, that's not too weird. And I'm like, okay, well, how far can I go with this? So I do a lot of hiking, a lot of backpacking. And I started just picking up bones if I saw them while I was hiking and backpacking. And I started collecting all these bones, and I'd wash them and put them in the house, and just that kind of thing. One day I came home with about 70 pounds worth of bones between a cow and like pronghorn and stuff like that. And uh, so I kept collecting, and I was just really interested in jewelry and stuff like that. And I saw a couple years, I saw online a pair of earrings made out of rattlesnake vertebrae, and they were, they were a certain cost. And I was like, oh, these are cool. Like, I would love to have a pair of earrings like this. And I got them, and they weren't anything overly intricate or anything like that. And they were about, they were probably like $45, something like that. And I wore them, and I was like, these are so cool. I'm wearing bones, and I have bones at home and all this stuff. And then one day my husband was just like, are you going to ever do anything with this stuff? And I was like, yeah, probably, besides just put it out and have it in boxes. I would just collect it.
Yeah.
And so I got sick. I got sick last December, and I needed something to do with my time. I wasn't snowshoeing. I wasn't out hiking because I couldn't, because of I had respiratory issues. I was basically allergic to some stuff that was going on in my building, that was construction going on in the building. So I couldn't get away from it for 5 months. So I didn't do anything for 5 months. But what I did do was build this business by chance. I sat down one day with my mom's. My mom has passed, and I inherited, some of her stuff, and she had some jewelry, equipment around. And I was like, well, I'm going to buy some rattlesnake bones from Etsy and see what I can do. And I put a pair of earrings together one day, and here I am. It just kind of happened. And I think 2 months later, someone was like, oh, you could sell these. And I live in Cheyenne. So there's nothing like this around here. Like in Denver, there is, and there's a little bit more. But I just, again, with the way that I am, I'm very all or nothing kind of person, that I just kind of went balls out and started making all this jewelry. And then I started teaching myself more and getting into more things, and then building these things these little bone decorations in the bone domes, based on stuff that I found in owl pellets, or stuff that I find on the trail, or I pick up roadkill. People bring me stuff all the time, and it just kind of happened. It wasn't planned. It was never a goal of mine in my whole entire life to have a business. I have a day job that I love, and so now I have this side business where we met at EdgeFest, and I've literally been doing it for 7 months now, and it's been pretty cool. I've got a lot of great feedback. It's very niche, and not everybody is into bones. They hear my spiel at an event, and they're just like, that's cool. Or they're like, and they slowly walk away. They're like, okay, because then they have this perception of that it's gross, and you're wearing bones. And I'm like, people have been making jewelry out of bones for fucking ever.
The Norse people made spoons and forks out of bones and combs. Like they
Exactly. Native Americans, I mean, feathers, bones, hides. People have been doing this. It's just a different media, to
yeah.
use, and putting it in a different manner as a, decoration, or, a mouse skull as a ring. It's just, a different twist on an old thing that's been going on.
Do you mostly make jewelry, or do you make other things with them as well?
It's mostly jewelry, earrings, some necklaces, rings. I just got into doing some resin because I really want to use the tiniest bones, since tiny
Mhm.
bones and things is the thing. But I also make air plant holders for air plants, and I will decorate them. I make the terrariums. Most of them are smaller little ones. I just, for some reason, the tiny things are cute. And it's amazing to me to see, like, when I'm working with some of these, the littlest teeth and the littlest bones, like how small these things really are. And like, it just kind of puts into perspective, it's one of those moments where you, as a human being, we are our world, right? Like, we're the center of our own world. But in the grand scheme of things, we are a dust, a speck that you can't even see in this thing called life, right? And these animals are so much smaller than us. And what have they seen in this life? And it all comes from, I'm just enamored by thinking when I'm working with these bones. I'm not just doing them to make money, or to do whatever, but they had a life before this.
Mhm.
And we love seeing cute bunnies in life, but also they've passed. And so this is a good way to repurpose, what we find laying on the ground, or what somebody has, their pet has deceased and they want to put it in a necklace, they want to put them in, something. It's a great way to repurpose those to be something beautiful, because death doesn't have to be something that we're scared of. Like, I'm not scared to die, I'm not scared of dying, I'm scared of being tortured or going through a lot of pain, right? But
It's
not
fair.
the process of death or being dead. Like, and I just feel like, it's one of those things that I think about often when I'm making stuff, is not just, it's just, how can we appreciate this in life as their death? And, I pick up every single bone that I see, that I can carry. It doesn't matter how old or decrepit it is. It's had this life before me, and it can have a life with me and after me with somebody else. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it
Yeah.
does.
So I,
I think, like, I mean, I think it's incredibly beautiful. I was talking with friends at the gym this morning about hunting and how hunting is like, when you're hunting for meat, like, it's done very respectfully.
mhm,
And to what you said, like, it's not just repurposing the bones, but it's like giving them, like, it's like extending their life, and it's taking those living creatures who have passed,
mhm,
and like, they're you're making them and it's not even that you're making them into something beautiful, but you're recognizing the beauty that exists in them already,
yes,
and then, like, changing that so that other people can see the beauty. Because most people, i'm I'm gonna say most people, I feel like that's a pretty good statistic. Most people aren't going to be like, oh, hey, there's a skull on the trail, I should take it and honor it for the rest of eternity. But you see that skull on the trail and you go, that's beautiful. Let me present this to people in such a way that people who would not have looked at it on the trail to see its beauty
yep.
can now see how beautiful it is. And I feel like that is like this brilliant connection to nature and how we are all intertwined. Um,
Yep. It's
it's
funny
one of
because
those, like,
there's
yeah.
this there have been, people who come into, like, my little booth at festivals, and they look at the jewelry, but they don't. I let people look for a minute, and then I kind of do my spiel, and they're just like, "Oh, look at these pretty earrings. They're so pretty." And every one of them have the white bones. I mean, most of the bones I keep pretty regular and don't, like, paint them a whole lot, and I keep them pretty natural. And then I say, "Oh, hi, my everything here is made of some kind of animal bone or animal part." And then they're not pretty to them anymore. And when they find out what it is, what the white pieces are in these jewelry, in these earrings, and then they leave, and I'm just like, but it was pretty. Like, you found it pretty before until you realize what it was. Like, what changed? What makes that different? And those are the people that I'm, what, maybe one day they'll change their mind and maybe they won't. But those are also, the people that are just going to go get cotton candy instead, or not take an opportunity to teach their children. Because when I'm doing this, it's not just to sell. I love, one of the things that I've love about doing these things is talking to people and educating them about, what is this bone? What is that bone? Where is this bone located on this animal? And why does it look different between this and this animal? Or, look at the difference between a tooth on, a cow and a tooth on a bobcat. Just it's an educational experience, and
Mhm.
especially with kids and everything like that. And it is, the bones are the centerpiece. That's what I always want them to be, is the bones are the centerpiece, and everything else around it is just, you know, accenting that bone or that
Yeah.
skull or that piece. It's giving it that new life, and difference. But yeah, the people, it's funny when they're just like, oh, these are so pretty, and then I'm just like, oh, everything's been some kind of animal bone, and they're like, bye.
Honestly, my biggest thing is that I don't wear jewelry. And so I have a collection of jewelry that just sits on a shelf.
On the shelf.
So I need to make, because there's some jewelry like that I really want to buy from various artists, that just to see it as art, and I need
Yeah.
to add it to my art wall. Ooh, maybe that's what I can do. It's like all the tiny little pieces in between. And I have ideas. Sorry.
See? Well, no, and that's how you come up with things. I mean, I had, the little glass jars, the little
Hmm.
domes. They're about this big and about this round, and they have small. But somebody was like, you know what? I have too many tchotchkes on a shelf. I need something that's not going to hang on a shelf. So then I was like, okay, what can I do? So I got wood pieces, that are about this big, and then I put moss, and they hang on a shelf. They just hang on the wall with a little piece of twine, or a jaw that has, transfer artwork or painted on, and then I just hang it with a piece of twine, and then you can have a jaw, like a deer jaw or something that's got flowers or whatever on
Hmm.
it. I just finished my first bear jaw. I had a lady that, she had the bottom mandible part here of a bear. She got it from a friend whose husband passed away or something. It's kind of a weird story, but she came to me and said, can you do something with this? I would like to give it back to her so that she can have something to remember, with her, that her husband hunted or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So I said, what does she like? And what colors does she like? So I went with a color scheme that she likes. She likes natural colors and green. So I went with doing this, one side of this jaw so that she can hang it on her wall, and so that she has this memory, in a different way that she didn't know what to do with. And, have that hanging on her wall. So those things come from people's ideas. And I love when people come to me and say, you know what, especially guys, the funny thing is, most of my stuff, I mean, while I do have jewelry, I have those domes and I
Hmm.
put those things together, but they are kind of flowery and colorful. And I'll have guys that are like, oh, can you do something a little more muted or less color, or, less flowers? And I'm like, absolutely. I love those challenges, because I'm again, this is just a side project for me. This is fun. And I want to do stuff that's challenging and fun, but also that people want to enjoy. If he has a skull he wants to enjoy and he wants me to put it in a dome for him, I'm happy to do that, and try it out and work together to see what we can do. I don't know what people want unless they tell me. And when I can do that, that makes me feel good, because more than anything, it's not about, oh, I made $200 at this fair today or whatever. It's more like, oh, how cool is it that somebody has something that I made for them in their house, or that they're
Yeah. And
wearing something, like that. To me, that's the ultimate payoff, is that, and teaching people things, and having them enjoy something.
yeah, and I think that's beautiful too, because then you have an impact on the world around you. And that's one of the things I love about art in general. And I
Yeah.
think if you look at anything, if with the right eye, it's all art. Like I'm a
Yes.
poet, so I tell people all the time everything is poetry. So doesn't matter. Like my dog pooped on the rug, that is poetry. There's something
I've
poetic about that.
I think that's I'm trying to learn that. And I think it kind of stems back to my insecurities with everything else. Is it, sometimes I feel like I'm sitting there making stuff and I'm an imposter, because people will call it art, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just putting shit together. I'm just a good person. I'm just a good collagist. I just collage things together that work well together. For some reason, I have a hard time saying that I'm an artist. Like even saying that, I'm just like, ugh. Um, it's hard to say because I perceive art, and I don't, not for myself, but I perceive art as, paintings and Van Gogh and these, Renaissance buildings and all these things that I'm just like, oh, I'm not equal to that. I don't do that.
What about creative?
I
Can you
can
call
do
yourself a
create.
creative?
I could do a maker, creative, that kind of thing. It's also the same thing with, like, hiking. Like I hike 14ers and I climb, 5,200 feet elevation gain in one shot. And someone called me an athlete, and I said, I'm not an athlete. I'm not an athlete. I don't like, to me, an athlete is somebody that gets paid to do athletic stuff, right? But then if you look up the definition of athlete, it's somebody that does things that I do, but I still have a hard time giving myself that title, like
Yeah.
artist, athlete, success story, whatever those things are. Like those are hard things for me to swallow. I don't know why. It's I don't know, it kind of solidifies something that I am something, and I don't know why. I just have a hard time with that.
I think, I mean, I can't say we all do, but I do too. I told people I used to do triathlons,
Hmm.
and people are like, "Oh, so you're a triathlete?" And I'm like, "No, I'm someone who happens to do triathlons. I'm not a swimmer.
But you
I'm
are.
someone who happens to swim. I'm not a cyclist." And but then like, and so I've tried to change this viewpoint in my brain because I'm like, I'm not an artist. But now it's like, if you make art, you're an artist. Like art doesn't have to be good for it to be art.
It's
Like
true. It's
there's
true.
one of my okay, quick tangent again. College, I was in architecture school. We went to New York City for because our project for the semester was to design an art gallery down in Chelsea, New York. And so we had to like go to all of the art museums. And in what is there's like this big modern art museum in New York City, and we went to it, and there's one room, and the only thing that is in that room is a bale of hay, and it's marked off, and that is, and like on the wall it says it sold for $1 million, and all of these kids from Montana are like, $1 million, we got a bunch of those
We
back
got
home.
those in our field.
Right, because art is entirely how it is perceived, just like everything else.
It's all about perception. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so like to New York City slickers, a bale of hay is pristine art. To kids in Montana who like had to take a week off of school in the spring so that they could
That was their job.
like it was their job, like yeah, it's totally different. Um
Oh, it's so
but yeah,
funny because it's true. Yeah. I mean, it's so true.
but
It's
yeah,
all
like
about
this
perception.
I swim and bike. So like I ride my bike to work as long as the roads aren't icy, and I ride across town. So like 3 times a week I ride 12 miles every week. And so like my brain is almost there. Like I can almost call myself a cyclist. Like I
Hmm.
could say I'm a cyclist because I ride my bike enough, right? But like there's still
Yeah.
that piece of me that's just like, am I though? And it's so hard because that's like you said, like way earlier in the conversation, you spend so much time of your life having a specific perception of yourself and how like what you are and what you aren't. So having those conversations with yourself that you get to change that perception, that
Yeah.
takes so much time and effort.
It does. It does. I mean, it took me the longest time to call myself a hiker. And I mean, up until this year, I hiked like 70 hikes a year. I mean, I would climb 100, feet, 100,000 feet of elevation gain. I mean, I did a lot, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. And and climbing mountains, like climbing these 14ers in Colorado. And it took me a long time to be like, oh, I'm a mountaineer sounds better than, because I don't climb like, like
Yeah.
actual, like using the hooks and the anchors and stuff like that. But I walk up these mountains. And so I'm like, but that's what I do. I hike. And then finally one day I was just like, I mean, I am a hiker. Let's just say I'm a hiker.
Yeah.
I'm a hiker if I don't do it 72 times a year and I only do it 12 times a year. I'm still a hiker. I'm still this person that does that. But I could say that, but I couldn't say I'm an athlete because I was like, oh, that to me, an athlete is something. But it's, again, it's about perception. It's always, you know, people, you know, perception is reality. I learned this from a boss. Perception is reality. Like
Mhm.
people perceive things and that is their reality. It might not be reality, but it is their reality. And so we make that our reality. And again, we have to kind of change our mindset and how that fits into our life and how it's different. And we don't have to be Picasso to be an artist. And I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, I'm a very slow, I don't want to call myself a runner, but I'm like, you're a runner. You're a runner. You're going 3 times a week and running on your treadmill, running outside. You might run a 20-minute mile, but you're still a runner.
I saw a meme the other day that said, I don't know if it's a meme because I think memes are supposed to be funny. Whatever. I saw a thing on the internet that said um a 6 minute mile and a 16-minute mile are both the same distance. Like
Exactly.
you still ran a mile.
You still ran a
Um
mile.
I also I have no way to prove this, but I'm willing to bet that Picasso probably didn't call himself an artist. He wasn't like, I'm an artiste. He was probably like, oh man, I don't know why people are interested in all of this stuff I throw on a canvas. I just do it to get out of my head.
Right?
Um,
And
they're like,
I think it's the way you said it, and that just, I'm an artiste. That
yeah,
encapsulates how artists make me feel. Like, wow, that's fancy, and I'm like, no,
yeah,
no, that's not me. And I think that's the perception, right? And
yeah.
so, absolutely, I'm sure that you know. Rembrandt and everybody else that did these amazing pieces of art. We're just like, yeah, I'm just slapping some shit on a canvas.
Now, once I have a time machine, I'm gonna go back in time and I'll have I'll do a podcast with them and then I'll find out
Yeah.
and
Hey, what do you
I'll
call
come back and let you
yourself?
know.
Are you a collagist? Do you just slap some shit on a canvas? That's what I definitely want to subscribe to. Ah,
All right, we're gonna move into our game, so it's gonna be a little more random.
okay.
So your first question is, what are you looking forward to in the coming months?
Uh, oh my gosh. In the coming months, I am looking forward to fall. October is my favorite month. And I mean, that sounds shocking to somebody who collects bones, right? But I love October. I love crisp fall weather. I'm looking forward to wearing sweatshirts and getting into uh, the energy that fall brings to my being, and hopefully, not getting too much snow here. Realistically, that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, mine is there's a couple things. I'm looking forward to Squattober
Oh,
because
Squattober. Ooh, I might have to
Squattober,
adapt this.
it is squats every day,
Oh,
Monday through Friday. It's programmed by a strength and conditioning coach, so it's great. I haven't got to do it for the last 2 years because I had powerlifting competitions. But I've decided that I am just letting myself enjoy lifting for the rest of the year and not doing any more meets. And so I'm excited for that. And then I'm just excited for lifting because it's my favorite pastime. Um, I am excited I'm working on getting book signings scheduled because my new book just came
ooh,
out. So
that's
that I'm excited for.
exciting. That's a
And
big
then
deal. I hope you're celebrating that because
I
that's kind of a big fucking deal.
I'm still, well, I'm like celebrating a little bit in the back of my head, but right now I'm like forefront of my brain is like I still have like all of the things that have to get done so I can go woo.
Yep.
Um and then I am looking forward to winter. I love October and fall, but winter is my favorite. You see my outfit. I wear this all winter long, so I am looking forward to snow.
Wait
Um
a minute. Where are you at it, or where are you located again?
I'm in Cheyenne.
Oh fuck! I didn't realize you were in Cheyenne too. Oh my god, we had the worst winter last year though. It was
So,
terrible.
okay, you say that, and oh, so many other people have said that. And I thought last winter was super mild.
It was
We barely
negative
got
60.
snow. There was like, I never even got the chance to go sledding last year. We didn't have enough snow. Like, I know we got snow often, but we never got enough
Well, that's true.
snow.
We didn't have a dump like we usually have in the spring. We didn't
Yeah.
have a dump. But yeah, it was negative 65. It was negative 30. I thought I was going to
Okay,
die in the
I'm
wind.
okay. I'm from North Dakota originally.
Well, this is why.
I was born in January in North Dakota. So I was likely seasoned at like negative 35 plus wind chill. So I think that's why I like the cold so much.
So you're the abominable snowman. That is
Yes.
what we're getting at. I do love snow. I love snow. I think it's pretty. I love to snowshoe. I just felt like last year was I didn't get to get out enough because we had so many. And there's only so much you could do in Cheyenne, but I like to go to the
Yeah.
mountains, and
Yeah.
so that makes it a little bit harder. But man, I'll tell you what, I've been here 5 years, and the wind is what I hate. If the wind
Sure.
would just fucking die down a little bit, I would be a little happier. But it's the wind that gets, and after losing 190 pounds, I'm more cold natured than anything. In fact, I have a heater on in my office. And then I'm just like, oh, there's so much work involved.
My favorite temperature is like between -5 and -10 with zero wind chill. That's like I just like frozen air and it like you breathe it in and you can feel
It
it all the way
burns.
into your lungs and it's just beautiful.
It burns. I do like the burn, but only when I'm in hiking mode and I'm up at 13,000 feet breathing that heavy air.
That's
But
fair. That's
I
fair.
mean, I do love the snow and snowshoe. But yeah, I'm just my good range is probably 30 to 50
30 to 50 is probably,
with the
I
sun
mean,
shining.
yes. I would say that's probably the perfect temperature,
Yeah, it's
honestly.
perfect.
Okay, question two. If you could have, hold on, I read that wrong. If you could only have one of these options for 2 years, would you have a fast car and really slow internet or fast internet and a really slow car?
Fast internet and a really slow car. I don't give a shit about cars.
Oh, I have a vroom vroom car. It goes vroom. I would rather have I would rather have a fast car and no internet. I would rather drive my fast car into the wilderness and not deal with anybody ever again.
Well, then what we need to do is you have the fast car, I'll have the fast internet, and you can drive me places, and then I'll do your research.
Perfect. Yes, love it.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Ooh, okay. I feel like we've covered this a lot today, but maybe a summation. So, what do you think loving yourself really means?
um, I think it's I think it's God, I'm trying to put it into one or two words. I think it's comfort and feeling secure in in yourself without being stagnant.
Okay.
Growth. I think, loving yourself is about wanting to continue to grow for your life. Like, I don't think we should ever stop growing or learning. And so I think loving yourself is continued growth. And looking and not being too scared to look at yourself, because we know it's all difficult to look at ourselves and look at our faults and head those face on. But I think that boils down to talking with yourself, and being comfortable with who you are, whether they're faults or not faults.
I like that a lot. Um, I'm gonna say loving yourself is trusting your voice over other people's voices.
Yes. Yep. Oh, absolutely. Perfectly said.
All right, so last question of the day. If there's one thing that the world needs to know, what is it?
About what? Anything? Life,
Anything.
love, the pursuit of
Anything.
happiness?
Yeah, all of it.
Jesus. This
Whatever
is like
comes
this,
to
this
your
is like
mind.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. What's the meaning of life? 42. That's my answer. 42. No.
Perfect.
Uh
Now, what's the question? Because that was
right? What's the question? Oh gosh. Say that question one more time. That's
there's
good.
one thing the world needs to hear. What is it?
Be kinder. Just be kinder. Think before you speak. Think before you react.
I like it. I agree. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the Common Humanity podcast and having a real human conversation with me.